Hear from Knight Lancaster, attorney and CPA, why accounting software should be a day zero priority for all law firms. In the studio with us today is Knight Lancaster to talk about accounting at scale. Knight, thank you for joining us today.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. So when we spoke earlier, one of the things you mentioned was that accounting should be a day zero priority for new firms. Tell us a little bit about what you mean with that statement.
Well, I think the first thing that most attorneys look at when they're starting their practice is how they're going to manage both the front office and the back office. And the front office they want to do all day. The back office, if it is not set up properly, it's impossible for them to really pull away from it. And that's where everybody really gets stuck being halfway involved. So when I say it's a day zero piece, for me, I'm thinking through it's a day zero piece for the attorney to set up in a way that they can remove themselves from that process.
Okay, that makes sense. Another thing that you mentioned is scaling the accounting department for a law firm. And so how should that work, and what challenges do you see law firms facing as they grow from an accounting perspective?
I think there are certain sizes of law firms that are just difficult. Every firm goes through growing pains. I think one of the big things to keep in mind is that the best way or most efficient way to run a $2 million practice can honestly be the worst way to attempt to run a $10 million practice. So I think when you're talking about scale, you can pay for it on the front end or the back end. And what I mean by that is you can either build out your processes to get to that next size so that things run well as you get there, which is a little more expensive up front, or you can pay for it in the back end by not having clean processes set up and client service suffers, accounting just consistency suffers, and you enter that area where you just constantly feel like everywhere within your firm is busting at the seams.
That makes sense. You know, when you think about these firms that we're talking about in our discussion today, what can they do or should they be doing to change that trajectory so that they don't end up with the bad result on the back end?
I think the hardest part of it is accepting you're in that area, or identifying if you're in that area, and knowing what to look for. And so the biggest pieces that I would talk through with attorneys is knowing the items that point to a deeper issue. If you're almost always getting reports on time and all of a sudden they're regularly a couple of days or a week late, and you kind of have that reset to say, okay, I need this on X day. You kind of go through those phases of identifying the issues, and then what I see more times than not is they reach that area where the attorney knows they need X report, and the support who's there to help figure out a way to make that report happen. And what ends up happening is all of the compliance pieces get missed, and your reports are not accurate. So I think it's really important to understand or to be able to identify that you're in that area, because once you are, it's a lot easier to back up and say, hey, we need to reset. And maybe it's adding a second person, or maybe your current person is at their knowledge capacity or their skill capacity, or maybe you've truly grown to a size where you need to fundamentally kind of rethink how you operate from a back office standpoint.
Knight, if somebody wanted to get in touch with you to talk through any of these topics or retain your services, what would be a good way for them to do that?
I just have them reach out to me at knight@lancasterfirm.cpa.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being with us today.
Glad to be here.